Tonight on Stand Up for the Week, Seann Walsh, Josh Widdicombe, Romesh Ranganathan, Angela Barnes, Simon Evans. But now, please welcome your host, Paul Chowdhry.
Welcome to Stand Up for the Week. What's happening, white people? Let's start off with quite a light news story. Allegedly, 3 women were held for 30 years captive in a house in Lambeth. I mean, the worst thing about being a slave in Lambeth is when you're finally released, you realise you were in Lambeth. You are free? No, I think I'll stay for a couple more minutes. Apparently, there's 5,000 slaves in the UK, and I can't find a cleaner. The 3 women were Malaysian, English, and Irish. Sounds like a pub joke gone wrong. An English woman, an Irish woman, and a Malaysian go into a house, and they stay there for 30 years. Sounds like a bad knock-knock joke. Knock-knock. Who's there? Shh, call the police. Shh, call the police. Who? Shh, call the police now, you bastard. I've been here for 30 years. Let's put this into perspective. They went to this house 30 years ago when there was a Tory government, a recession, mass unemployment, and Bruce Forsyth was on TV. Nice to see you, nice. I was going to do a couple of lines about Nigella Lawson. But she beat me to it. Don't know if you heard about this. Someone drove a VW Golf into someone's flat in Dudley. Look at the state of that. When that car smashed through the wall, they must have thought they were watching Fast and Furious 6 in 3D. These 3D glasses are wicked, mate. Special effects and everything. That flat actually belonged to a guy called Mamadou Diallo. It's a Nigerian name. He's lucky he wasn't a traffic warden. You come back here. That's my chair. That's my sofa. I must ring the office. I'm not supposed to be working from home today. The owner of the house actually went to check the rubble to see if he was okay, right? And he went into the rubble and found a false leg. It's ridiculous, isn't it? That's the problem with disabled drivers. They think they can park anywhere. See, but the thing is about this story, right? The story doesn't tell us who was driving that car. I just hope she's okay. Anyone from Essex? Did you hear about the story this week? A wolf escaped from a zoo in Essex. I thought Essex only had cougars, the occasional fox, and a couple of heifers. Here's the wolf. Don't This ain't Twilight, love. You don't stroke it and kiss it. You don't stroke it and kiss it and it turns into a camp-looking straight man. He'll bite your face off. It's so Twilight, isn't he? No, he's a killer. Essex people were told to look out for a creature with massive teeth. Someone tried to shoot this animal. You ready for the show tonight? This guy's just got out of bed to tell you about all the entertainment news. Would you please welcome Seann Walsh?
Thank you. Cheers. Great. It's good to be here. I haven't just got out of bed. I slept on the sofa. Big news, Miley Cyrus has turned 21. Yeah, big news. She's growing up. On her birthday, she performed at the MTV American Music Awards. Now, every time she does a performance, people think, oh God, what's she going to do? How is she going to shock people? Is it going to be controversial? Is she going to go on stage, take a dump in someone's mouth? At the EMAs, she smoked a joint on stage, which actually isn't that rock and roll, because it was in Amsterdam. So it's actually the only place where it's legal to do that. She's going, yeah, rock and roll. Lots of people in the audience just going, yes, not a problem. Enjoy yourself. Relax. What's this? You don't have to worry. I don't really have a problem with her general behaviour, the way she's perceived. I don't really mind. She can do what she wants. But it must be pretty weird for the kids. The kids that grew up enjoying Hannah Montana and then sort of watch her change into what she is now. That's pretty weird. We didn't have to do that, did we? We didn't go through that. I didn't have to watch my childhood heroes go off the rails. It wasn't like I got to 12 and then suddenly the Pink Power Rangers stumbled out of a nightclub with camel toe, arm in arm with Pete Doherty. Going, I can't morph, I forgot how to, help me! Watching YouTube videos of Flipper doing coke through his blowhole. Tabloid snap of Lassie humping someone's leg. Quick, Lassie, there's a forest fire! Could give a shit, I'm only in this for the legs. Optimus Prime transforming into a vibrator. Sex tape of the Mario Brothers tag teaming Princess Peach. Go, woohoo! Woohoo! Finding out Jimmy Savile was a So it's the 50-year anniversary of Doctor Who. Yeah, to celebrate, the BBC aired a feature-length episode. I don't really know much about Doctor Who. As far as I can gather, it's about a homosexual GP that doesn't like garlic, isn't it? Sort of lives in a surprisingly spacious Portaloo, something like that, I don't really know. It got 10 million viewers. 10 million viewers, which is amazing, because we're not very good at sci-fi, the British, are we? We don't really know how to do it. I mean, I could never believe that someone British has managed to get a spaceship to work. No way. We ended up using a spaceship replacement service. You'd get to the moon and have to get on a bus. I think the main problem we have doing sci-fi is the accent. It's the accent. That's what Americans, they can do it. They're great at sci-fi. They speak, they take a word like paragonal. Made up word sounds like a planet, doesn't it? Paragonal. Set a course for paragonal 5. English accent, that's just something you'd buy in a chemist for an embarrassing rash. Oh, hi, yeah, sorry. Excuse me, have you got any paragonals? Non-drowsy, yeah, and a tube of Stimulux on my red helmet. Is that okay? This machine has a multifunctional module with a titanium hull. In American, that's a spaceship. In English, that's a kettle, isn't it? Take the film Gravity. Gravity, big American blockbuster, people flying through space, calling back to Earth for help. We couldn't do that in Britain. It'd be a very different film. We're too polite. You'd just have a bloke floating through space going, Houston, we have a... Look, not to worry if it's a problem, but we just sort of... I was wondering, and honestly, if you're busy, please don't worry, you don't have to get back to me. I'm just wondering, have you... And I hope you're well. You probably look fantastic. You sound fantastic. Is there any way that you've got a spare escape pod? No? Okay, yeah, not to worry. It's nice to get out of the house anyway. Bye! the special 50th anniversary episode. It was all about getting to the new Doctor. We've all heard about this, played by Peter Capaldi, who famously played the most terrifying, sweary, angry character from The Thick of It. Remember this guy, Malcolm Tucker? Here he is. Yeah, legend. I hope Peter Capaldi plays Doctor Who the exact same. It'd be terrifying, just freaking the hell out of everyone. Walking into the building going, fucking, exterminate! You're gonna exterminate me? Who the fuck are you gonna exterminate? You can't even get fucking stairs. The only way you're gonna fucking exterminate me is at a fucking disabled toilet. Not like a fucking wheelie bin or a fucking hard-on coming out of your fucking head. You look about as realistic as fucking Sharon fucking Osbourne. Now fuck off! And you, fucking, my assistant, Mrs. fucking Frigid Jones Diary, bitch. Why don't you fuck off? I'm gonna get out that paper bag, stick it over my head, travel back in time, fuck your mum so I'll be your dad. Is that what you want to hear? Because just fucking listen to me. Just fucking listen. Yeah, do you know what I think? I think this is a fucking joke. That's what this is, a fucking joke. Do you want to hear a fucking joke? I'll tell you a fucking joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? Who gives a fuck? Now fuck off. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been the entertainment news. I've been Seann Walsh. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Seann Walsh. Great stuff there. Are you ready for your next act? Here with all the sports news, would you please welcome Romesh Ranganathan.
I want to talk about the cricket. England got whipped in the cricket. They got whipped in the first match of the Ashes. I have been so embarrassed by the English performance, I'm actually pretending to people that I'm an Aborigine. Right, that's... I don't have to nail my flag to your mast, white people. Right? It's got to the point now where the best chance of an English victory in Australia is Joey Essex. That is quite depressing, right? I don't know if they're cricket fans, but the problem is, because the Ashes are being played in Australia, right, you have to watch it overnight. You have to sit and watch it through the night. There's nothing darker than me sitting in my living room, in my underwear, in the middle of the night, eating a pot noodle. Yeah? But now I can watch cricket while I do it. So it's... I mean, the England performance has been so embarrassingly bad that when I've been watching it and my wife comes downstairs to see what I'm doing, I flick it to Babe Station and pretend I'm having a wank. That's... There's been controversy about sledging. Now, I don't know if you know what sledging is, but sledging is a nice word for abuse. Basically, it's where the cricketers are having a go at each other, giving each other a shitload of banter, and they just call it sledging. I mean, you can't just give it a nice word, and that's all right. It wouldn't be all right in football if the goalkeeper called the striker a black bastard and then just went, "It's all right, mate, I was just tobogganing." I didn't mean anything by it. I mean, they've got Hawkeye, they've got the snickometer, all of this stuff. I reckon they should just let us hear the sledging. It's really interesting. I think you should be able to watch it on the red button, just hear what's going on. Right, because in a football match, they've just got 90 minutes. They've got 90 minutes to abuse, so it'd just be, "Oh, I shagged your wife." Right? Cricketers, they've got days. Right? Day 1, I shagged your wife. Day 2, and she made me dinner. Day 3, and she made me dessert. Day 4, dessert was your mum. I mean, part of the reason that people, I think, don't give a shit about the Ashes, or some people don't give a shit about the Ashes, is because of the size of the trophy, right? Look at this trophy. That is a joke. You're supposed to be able to drink champagne out of it. You could barely get a Jaeger bomb out of that. I mean, that is not a trophy. That's a trophy. That's the Golf World Cup. You can get in that. There's massive news in the world of rugby, obviously, and you'll all have heard about it. Ben Cohen is out of Strictly Come Dancing. That's the big news. Now, what I find most upsetting about rugby players is the fact that they go on to do Strictly afterwards. Like, what is going on during a ruck where you think, do you know what? I think I'm going to take these skills and apply them to the foxtrot. I think this is the way forward. Ben Cohen, he danced topless. Look at that tall glass of vanilla goodness. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This pissed me off, right? Because I'm watching this in the living room with my wife. I don't want to be made self-conscious in my own house. Do you know how self-conscious I am? I'm so self-conscious about my appearance that one day I woke up in the morning, I went to the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror, I went back to the bedroom and apologised to my wife for my appearance. She accepted my apology. I mean, personally, I don't want to see good-looking guys doing Strictly. I want to see guys like this doing Strictly. Boom. Then I feel better about myself. I mean, gorgeous sportsmen are messing up my home life. For example, my wife is obsessed with David Beckham. She thinks he's gorgeous, but actually he's not. I'm here to share this with you. The only reason people think he looks gorgeous, the only reason that women think David Beckham is gorgeous, is because he hangs around with ugly people. Right, think about it. He's always with Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, started hanging out with Prince William. He's not looking so hot these days, is he? Yeah, the bloom's come off that rose. Like, for example, look at this picture of Bex. Does he look hot? Now, don't be fooled. The only reason he looks hot is because I'm standing next to him, right? Watch this. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Romesh Ranganathan. This has been The Sports. Thank you.
Still to come, Simon Evans, Angela Barnes, Josh Widdicombe.
Welcome back to Stand Up for the Week. Are you ready for some more comedy? Here with all the news from Middle England, please welcome Simon Evans.
Thank you. Very nice to be here. How the devil are you? You well? Children. Kids are, in fact, what I want to speak about this evening, and in particular a phenomenon which is troubling Middle England called boomerang kids, boomerang children. The reason children are like boomerangs in this particular instance is that they are returning to home. They are coming back to you when you think you've got shot at them. No matter how hard you chuck them out, they keep coming back even at the age of 20 or 25 or 30. It is, for those of us who have young children, an horrific prospect. I have two children. My little Hansel and Gretel are 6 and 9, so they're not so much boomerang kids as yo-yo kids at the moment. They return every bloody night. Regardless of the circuitous route I take into school every morning, they seem to find their way home again, and it's tiresome, but I'm legally obliged to house them for the time being. But the fact is, we only have ourselves to blame. We have made life too easy for these people. I remember, back in the Victorian era, I say I remember, you know, I've read books. In the Victorian era, it was widely understood across all classes, children are a nuisance until they are a resource. So if you had money in the Victorian era, your children were sent away to be educated. They were sent as far away as possible, some drafty boarding school in Yorkshire. You barely saw, you weren't formally introduced to your son until he was at least 12 years of age, could carry on a decent conversation about foreign policy at the dinner table instead of endlessly informing you as to whether or not you like fucking peas on this occasion. It's ridiculous. It's not what I call small talk. Meanwhile, if you did not have money, they were sent up a chimney, much as they are today in China, which thrives as a result. It's no coincidence. I blame the politicians, you will not be surprised to learn. Ed Miliband was on Desert Island Discs this week. The thing that annoyed me, he started off by saying the most important thing to him was his family. He said, my family mean everything to me. It's the most important thing in my life. Well, perhaps if you genuinely want to be a soccer dad, go ahead, but perhaps you should be looking for a job a little less likely to compromise that commitment than Prime fucking Minister. I'm sorry. There's room for one thing or the other. Maybe try yoga teacher or chairman of the Co-op Bank. They seem to have a fairly flexible approach to work-life balance. You've got to be serious about these things. I'll be honest with you, I preferred Margaret Thatcher, who famously said, I don't give a fuck about my kids, my political ambitions come first. She didn't obviously say it out loud, but I think you only have to look at Mark Thatcher to understand that she was saying it in her head every time she went anywhere near the little bastard, and I respect that. I wish he was a one-off freak, but the fact is Ed Miliband is representative of what is happening to our country now, because we've all just turned into people who just want everything to be this big, fluffy, cuddly, safe, soft play centre forever. It's pathetic. We all want to flop on our sofa with our bestie, watching Towie and our onesie and drinking our smoothies. Every word we use now is some pathetic, dribbly version of a real word made palatable to children by putting E on the end of it. Even my own wife, I promise you, has started complaining that the shops today were super busy or a coat was super expensive. I'm sorry, I would rather you describe that coat as fucking expensive in front of the kids than super expensive in front of me. Use adult language. True though. Even packaging now talks to me as if it's my best mate. Have you noticed this? Smoothie cartons. These are the worst. I'm full of fruity goodness. No bad stuff at all, I promise, or you can tell my mummy. I'm a thirsty adult. I'm not a child that just fell over in a playground and grazed its knee. I don't need consoling. I want to drink you. I am going to consume you and bin the container. That's it. We're not going to hang out. You're not my mate, okay? The only drink that's allowed to talk to me is a bottle of whiskey, and even then only after I've drunk the first half, all right? One man in the entire United Kingdom, as far as I'm concerned, is setting a decent example in the public life at the moment, and that, surprisingly enough, is Prince Harry. Yeah. Who is currently in the Antarctic, mounting a challenge on the South Pole, leading a group of men who were wounded in active service. He's raising money for charity, and he's taking on the Antarctic, which, to be honest, is an uncomfortable environment for anyone, especially someone whose main recreational habit is playing naked billiards. So fair play to him, I say. But what I particularly like about Prince Harry going to the Antarctic is that his brother, the heir to the throne, Prince William, has expressed envy for Harry because he wishes he too could get away from his fucking screaming infant of a son. He said as much. He may not have used the F word, but you could see it in his eyes, believe me. He's the only person left willing to speak the truth, and I think it's about time we were all boomerang kids and went straight back into the warm embrace of absolute monarchy. The House of Windsor, I tell you, that's where our future lies. You thought they were all over, but they're built to last, the House of Windsor. German engineering with British trim. You can't beat it. Thanks very much. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Simon Evans. Are you ready for your next act? Here, with all the first world news. I don't even know what first world news is. I think that's white people's news. Please welcome Angela Barnes.
So yeah, I'm Angela. I'm here to talk to you about the first world news. Now, the first story I want to talk to you about today is it's to do with middle-aged men. Right, I can see one or two of you in the room, so put your ears up. Apparently, testosterone replacement therapy has become really popular among middle-aged men in the UK. Right now, presumably where testosterone is replaced with, I don't know, cocaine, leather trousers and no self-awareness. But obese and unfit men all over the country are pumping themselves with testosterone to try and, as a quick fix, to sort of bulk up their muscles and improve their virility and all that. And I don't know, I just think, what's the obsession with older men clinging onto their libidos? Right, like Dean Gaffney clinging onto celebrity. It's embarrassing. Right, it's just let it go, give us all a rest. Like, the last thing we need in this world is dirty old men who are actually able to act on it. And of course there is a danger that you can inject too much testosterone, you can go over the top and end up looking ridiculous. Right, who knows, maybe that's what happened here. men, is that really what you want to look like? Is that like Phil Mitchell had a baby with Gollum and abandoned it in the woods? I'll tell you what, for a man who's banned homosexual propaganda, that looks a lot like a Grindr profile picture to me. And apparently more and more men in the UK are having plastic surgery than ever to try and look younger. Right now, I don't know that really works. I don't know if I've ever been convinced by plastic surgery. It's like, yes, you do look like a younger person, but you look like a younger person that's been in a terrible fire. Now, in other first world news this week, David Cameron has announced his plans will come into fruition next year, whereby adult content on the web will be blocked unless you opt in. Right, so give me a cheer if you're going to opt in. Of course, you know. And if you don't opt in, what will happen basically is that if you Google search explicit terms, you won't get links to explicit websites, right? So, for example, I've tested the filters. Now, if you Google wet pussy, get that. If you Google big hard cock, get that. And if you Google massive twat... I thought you'd like that one. Now, apparently, each household in Britain is going to be sent a letter, and on the letter there'll be a form that you have to return, right, if you want access to pornography. That is going to be the fastest returned form that has ever been seen, isn't it? Moira Stewart's not going to have to hide in your downstairs cupboard to remind you about that one, is she? And I imagine if you're Catholic, you could always opt in and then just opt out at the last minute. Now, I know it's important, right? I know it's important to protect children, right? I get that. I understand that. But I just can't help but feel sorry for the dads. You know what I mean? Yes, we're protecting our child's childhood, but at the same time, you're ruining that adult's adulthood. I mean, pornography can be damaging for children, sure, but not as damaging as walking in on your dad hunched over a laptop. Now, my dad, I had a very, very liberal, laid-back sort of upbringing. My dad, this is genuinely true, my dad worked in a sex shop, which was fine, that wasn't a problem, until it came to take your daughter to work day. No girl should ever have to do a dildo stock take with her dad. But apparently because of technology now, you know, it's everywhere, it's ubiquitous, the iPads, the iPhones, we're constantly on it. Apparently it means we're having less sex than ever because we have iPads. Right now, you know you're in trouble. Right, your sex life has been taken over by technology when the only reason you want his head between your legs is so you've got something to rest your iPad on. You know, it's a problem, isn't it? It's a problem when the only person talking dirty in your bedroom is Siri. But it's taken over our lives, isn't it? Children with iPads and iPhones. Did you know, right, apparently 1 in 3 children can use a mobile or a tablet before they can talk, right? So babies now no longer content with just ruining your social life and keeping you up all night. Now the little bastards are reading your emails. A third of one-year-olds, right, can unlock their parents' phones. Now, I've got a little goddaughter, right? She can send an email, sync it to a calendar, and she's doing all of this while still shitting in her own pants. It's crazy, and it's confusing for them. I think this technological world is... I gave her a biscuit the other day. She started doing that on it to try and make it bigger. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Angela Barnes. You've been absolutely lovely. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Still to come, Josh Widdicombe.
Welcome back to Stand Up for the Week. Are you ready for your next act? This next comic, he's the biggest comedian to come out of Cornwall. Here with all this week's headline news, would you please welcome Josh Widdicombe.
Hello. Yes. So, I am from Devon. Racist. It's a pleasure to be here with all your headline news. I think the main story this week is the policeman who was linked with the case of the Tory MP Andrew Mitchell is facing misconduct proceedings. If you don't know who Andrew Mitchell is, this is him. There he is. Yeah, that is a picture of him. That's not just a poster for Elliot from E.T. The Wilderness Years. I mean, that is not a politician that has any power, is it, on that bike? I mean, Barack Obama flies around in Air Force One. He has stolen a vicar's bike. Andrew Mitchell was accused of using the word pleb. I mean, I haven't heard that word since I was 7. The last time I was called a pleb was because I turned up at school with a bowler haircut. I like the fact he was just going for anything from the playground. His other option was going up to the policeman and going, "You're a bummer tied to a tree." "You're not, a bummer on the loose, run!" But right, he was livid, right, Andrew Mitchell. The reason he was angry is he was trying to leave Downing Street on his bike, and they wouldn't let him put his bike through the big gate. That's not a euphemism. That'd be a very different story. I've got a picture of the gates here. There they are. I mean, you can see his excitement, can't you? Look at the hinges on that bastard. My favourite people are the 2 policemen. I mean, they are men that know they have no respect as police officers. I mean, if you're a policeman, you want to, investigate murders or fraud. I mean, basically, their job is to decide whether you go through a big gate or a little gate. Basically, mate, you're a glorified troll. That is what you are. Right, the MPs last year accused the police over this story of being mendacious. I didn't even know what that was. To me, that sounds like Simon Cowell's new boy band. Just goes, you can't go through as individual artists, but if you form mendacious, I'll put you through to boot camp. I mean, if someone called me mendacious, I wouldn't know whether to, take it as a compliment or an insult. Just go, "You're mendacious." "Well, thank you very much." "And I think you're blokelicious." "And you, my friend, are chaptastic." But he said he's going to come back and he's going to rebuild his political career. Bullshit. He had no political career anyway. I looked into his career, right? This is how powerful he was. His greatest achievement, right, as a politician was in 2009 when he won Westminster Dog of the Year. I mean, now that is not a real award. That is the award you give someone when everyone else has got an award except them. You're the Chancellor, you're the Foreign Secretary, and you have a really good dog. 2010, he won neatest handwriting. And 2011, he won shittest bike. Also, a little tip, if you do win Westminster Dog of the Year, when taking the photo, don't let it look like you are bumming your own dog. The other big news this week is that the West has signed an agreement with Iran aimed at stopping them developing nuclear bombs. It should be good news, it should, but I'm not sure it is going to save the world. I was reading it. One of the agreement states that Iran will get rid of most of their nuclear weapons. Now, that doesn't fill you with confidence, does it? If someone said, "I'm happy to sleep with you, be aware I've got rid of most of my STDs." I mean, I am developing new ones secretly, but that is just to take down the West. But I don't trust Iran, I never have. They said they weren't creating a bomb, even though they had the ingredients, right? They said that they had uranium, right? But it was no stronger than 5%. That is still strong, that is still the strength of Stella. I mean, that leads to fights every Friday night. I mean, Iran and the West have had no formal ties for 34 years. No formal ties, although, to be honest, I didn't realise there was a dress code. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Fuck you. That is... that really is solid gold punnage. And, I don't know. They say it's good news. It is good news they're closing their uranium plants. I mean, there is bad news as well. I feel sorry for the people that worked at the uranium plants. I do. They thought they had a job for life, didn't they? I mean, admittedly, that life was 12 months max, but they thought they had a job for life. This news was revealed on Twitter, right, by the president of Iran, Hassan Rouhani, right? Now, I did some research into Hassan Rouhani. Right down the bottom of his Wikipedia, it turns out, right, that he is genuinely married to his cousin. Now, you are a controversial character if you are married to your cousin and that isn't the main thing people bring up. If I had a mate who was married to his cousin, that would be the first thing I would tell anyone I introduced him to. Whatever he'd done, I go, "This is Steve, he was married to his fucking cousin." Yeah, cancer, but the cousin thing, that is the main thing. I mean, it took 3 days to make the decision. The first 2 were just hit the other leaders going, you married your fucking cousin. What kind of weirdo are you? But I went on to his Twitter. Here it is. There it is. What I like is he's got only 139,000 followers, one of the most important people in the world. To give you an idea, that is 15 times less than Joey Essex. No, although I would claim that Joey Essex is a greater threat to Western civilization. You have been absolutely lovely. That's been the news. Thank you very much. Cheers. Goodbye.
Josh Widdicombe. That's all from Stand Up for the Week. You've got a great crowd.
Talk to you about today is that Harrods have released their range of Christmas hampers, and the top of the range one will set you back a mere £20,000. Right, yeah, but don't fear, don't worry, Aldi have come to the rescue.